The Baltimore Ravens are making moves. Tyler Huntley resigns with the Ravens. Lamar Jackson being more of a vocal leader. And he and Derrick Henry send an unequivocal message to all of the other teams in the NFL. Let's get into it. Let's talk Ravens with Yolanda. Today's video, we are going to discuss each player that makes up the offensive line. Good evening, Ravens flock. How is everyone doing tonight? I hope you all are doing fantastic on this Sunday evening. We're not going to be here long, but I had to come out tonight because this is my night. This is the night that I normally stream, but I wanted to come out tonight and just talk about some of the things that the Baltimore Ravens are showing to us that indicate they are ready. They are serious about chasing this Lombardi. So far, there's been some moves. We've had some pressers that really give us an indication of where this team stands. And we all know 4 days from now, Thursday Night Football, the Ravens open up the NFL season and we take on the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a tough task for us, but I think the Ravens are ready. As customary here, before we jump in, I'd like to give a warm welcome to everyone who has already joined in the chat. Good evening to you, Jeff. Okay, so you were early. Okay, and let me see if I can fix this. Let's correct that. Let's change the size. I don't know if it's going to allow me to, but we'll try. Yeah, hang on. See, now it just left me. Let me try one more time and change the size of the comment. We're going to get right with these comments one day. I promise you. Just hang with me because soon enough, we're going to get it together. Okay, I don't think it's going to let me. So what I'll do is I will just go back to my other screen and read the comments from there. But so far, I have Jeff J with us. Thank you. Sometimes in Florida, sunny Florida, the sun is just not your friend. Look, I'm from Florida, so I know this time of year, well, really every time of the year because it's always hot in Florida. But yeah, so come back. I'm glad to see you. I hope you do come back. We have Nana with us tonight. Good evening. And we have the Hawk TV. Good evening to you. Songstress for real. Good evening. Glad you're with us. Thank you. Edwin, I'm so glad you're here. Good. Yay. You made your first live attendance. Good. And you know, Edwin, I was thinking about you the other day because you and I had, I don't want to say a differing of opinion about the O-line. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the O-line tonight because I have spent, I think, a lot of my time during this offseason discussing my thoughts on the O-line. So I'm going to give a little bit of an updated, revised, if you please, thought of what I think the offensive line is going to be. And that's after watching a couple of YouTubers who break down film. And I was watching them and I said, oh, okay, let me give a revised version. And I was like, I hope Edwin comes back so that he can hear my thoughts on the O-line, because I know that you are really believing in the O-line. And I'm not too terribly far off, but I'm not just where you are just yet, but I can get there. Just Tornado, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. She said she's just coming through. Yes, and if you all would do me a huge favor, I know the show just got started, but if you just trust me, it's going to be a really good one. Go ahead, take 2.5 for me, hit the like button. And if you're new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Sit down, grab a beverage of choice. Mine is water. And hit subscribe, join the family, and let's get into tonight's show. Okay, and Edwin, you're telling me that you're from Baltimore. You live in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, very good. Good. Edwin said he's excited to hear my take. Okay, excellent. Sounds good. Let's get right into the show. I'm going to see if I can put the comments on this screen. Let's try it here, and let's see what it looks like. That's a little bit better. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger, or as a friend of mine likes to say, I want to embiggen it just a bit. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. And you guys can see me in real time change some of my settings so that it looks a little bit better. So I'm going to give a background so that you can see the comments a little bit clearer. Okay. Hang on one second. Let's get a little border there. Ah, that looks better. And then let's get a background. There we go. And let's change that. There we go. So now I can display the comments on this scene rather than the other one. We have with us Sip to Tally Films. Good evening. Let me move this over just a bit. See, these comments give me a world of trouble, but don't worry, I am troubleshooting. So as soon as we get all the comments, I'll put it right here. As soon as we get all the comments squared away, I think my show will be A-okay. Thank you so much for joining, Coach. I'm glad you're here. He was one of the YouTubers I was mentioning who I watch in terms of film breakdown. I watch Coach Evans no matter what he talks about because he's just so good and so knowledgeable about football. But if you are new and you're not subscribed to Sip to Tally, please go over, subscribe to his channel because he's going to hold your hand all through this season and he's going to walk you through why the Ravens are winning the Super Bowl. I promise you, it's going to be great. But he was one of the content creators who I watched and breaking down film, showing me the offensive line, because I've said this before. When the game is being played, we all know that the speed of the game is so fast, it's kind of hard to see and really give a true assessment. Now, some things are glaringly obvious. If your O-line is flat on their face, lying on their stomachs, okay, well, that's a problem. But otherwise, it's really hard to pinpoint during the game who's doing what, who did what well. You can kind of walk away with a little bit, but really it's when I watch film, Coach Evans, all 22 films, and even Cole Jackson over at Road Graders. When they break down the film and I watch it, I'm like, okay, I must have missed that in the game. So let me revise my assessment of the O-line. But let's dive in. I see a couple of others have come here tonight. We have Zephia Bowman. I hope you're doing well. Yes. Ooh, we get to see that. You know we're talking about King Henry tonight. Yes, please do what Nana said. Hit that like button. Go ahead, subscribe if you're new. Yes, Killer Cam, thank you for joining. We have Equip Institute with us tonight. Good evening. Hello, hello. And we have Jay the Six, prayer circle that Lamar is able to break the sound barrier when Chris Jones moves Falele out the way. We're going to talk about that. All right. First thing I want to discuss. I don't know how you feel, but please leave it in the chat and let me know. The Ravens re-signed our former backup quarterback, Tyler Huntley. He was cut from the Browns a couple of days ago. We did not waste any time, and I'm glad we didn't. I'm happy that he's back. What are your thoughts in the chat? You know, we had on the offseason these three preseason games. We had Josh Johnson, we saw Devin Leary, and we saw Emory Jones. Now, out of the three, my preference would have been, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway, Josh Jones as backup number one. But behind him, I would have preferred Emory Jones, which we did not keep. And we'll show you the depth chart. It's an unofficial one that was released a day or so ago from the Ravens. But I know Tyler is going to the practice squad. But I'm just so happy to have Snoop back because this is someone who knows the system. This is someone who's been a Raven for years. He was here last year when Todd Monken took over. He understands the Ravens way, the Ravens mindset. And when I think of a backup quarterback, I hope to not have to use that backup quarterback, which would mean that Lamar Jackson is healthy and Lamar Jackson is out there producing. So we don't really need them. Unless, of course, we're just like blowing teams out of the water and we're up by like 30, 40 points. Then we can go ahead and insert backup quarterback. But other than that, I want to see Lamar Jackson on the field. And not having him on the field for any reason, if it's a coaching decision or whatever, if Lamar has to, God forbid, miss some time, I feel more comfortable with Lamar Jackson sitting down and having Snoop being on the field. That's my comfort level. I like what I saw from Josh in that second game against the Falcons. I did not like what I saw in the first game. And then he came back in the third game and it wasn't as consistent as it was in the second. So that kind of up and down roller coaster ride, I didn't really care for. And it doesn't give me a lot of assurance, especially because he is a veteran. So when I think of a veteran who's been in the league, how many years has Josh Johnson been in the league? Yeah, that many. And he's on the upside of his 30s. And when I think of someone that seasoned, I want more consistent play from him. And I didn't see it. So that's my thought. But certainly leave yours in the chat. If you feel that Josh Johnson would be better, leave that there. Let me know. If you're more comfortable with Devin Leary, let me know that too. But I prefer, I feel much more comfortable with Snoop. That's kind of where I am. Zappia said he's better. He better than the other quarterbacks. Yeah. I like Emery too. I do, but I don't know. I'm not sure why the Ravens didn't really like Emery as much as I thought they would have. And yes, Devin Leary is a draft pick. I get that. And I know how the Ravens typically operate when it comes to draft picks. We often keep them. And even if it means that they are developmental players, even if it means that it's going to take them some time, we tend to keep our draft picks. So maybe that's why. But yeah, John Parsons, good evening. Thank you for being here. Definitely upgraded the quarterback room. I agree. I was thrilled. Yeah, Killer Cam says me too. Yeah, I was really, really thrilled to have him back. So that's the first thing I wanted to discuss. Good evening, Mr. Galloway. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you are well. Listen, if you have a YouTube channel, let me put the little ticker on here and we're going to see if it works. I'm testing out my Nightbot. So here's the ticker. If you are in here, if you're watching, would you do me a favor? If you have a YouTube channel, please type in !house. And once you type in !house, my Nightbot should drop the link to your channel. Fingers crossed. This is me trying to do techie stuff and, hey, it might take me some time, but let's give it a whirl. So if you are in here, you have a YouTube channel, type in !house and let's see if my Nightbot is working. But yeah, and Nana says that she's ecstatic to have Snoop back. He should have never left. I agree. I'm glad he's back. Welcome home, Snoop. Thank you. If you're watching, Snoop, we missed you. Oh, how we missed you and how glad we are to have you back. Hopefully you will kind of like make your way from the practice squad to actually being that backup quarterback. That would be great. The Hawk TV, good evening. If I didn't say it earlier to you, serious question. Would you rather have Tyler Huntley or Joe Flacco as your backup QB? Ooh. I would say I'm going to go with, that's a tough question because there's two sides. So it's partly both. I would love to have Snoop as my backup quarterback because he knows Todd Monken's system and because he's younger. Now, we all know if we watch Snoop, this is not the quarterback who is going to connect on the deep ball more often than not. But what we can utilize Snoop for is for those short, intermediate passes, quick release. That's where we can get the most from him. And because he was here with us last year, because he's younger, hopefully he's quicker, he's faster, I would take Snoop for those reasons. However, that's why I say it's kind of both, because we all know, at least for me, I think Flacco was a great quarterback. Look what he did last season. He came in off the couch and led his team to the playoffs. Or I don't know. I think they made the playoffs, but I think, were they a first round exit last year? Leave it in the chat. Let me know. I can't remember, but that's a great question, Hawk TV. I'm going to stick with my gut feeling there and take Huntley, even though having Flacco as an option at backup would not be terrible. Now, would Flacco want to come back and be a backup quarterback to the same team that kind of ousted him with Lamar Jackson? Probably not. So that leads another question where I can ask you, Hawk TV, as well as everyone else in the chat. And if I missed your comment or your question, if you have a question, leave a Q colon for me, and that way I can easily find it. But if you had your choice, chat, and those who are watching on replay, leave a comment down below. If you had your choice, Flacco, Huntley, or Tannehill as your backup QB number 2, who would you take? And while you all are discussing that, I'll say hello, take a couple more comments. Edwin says that, in my opinion, O-line will develop over the course of the season. That's my revised version of where I think the O-line will be. I can see the O-line rotate in specific areas on a series to series basis. I would hope they don't rotate that often, because I feel like there needs to be continuity, and maybe not on a series to series basis, but maybe quarter to quarter. And I don't think that that's unrealistic, but just I wouldn't want the rotation to be so often and so frequent. I'd like it to be to where the player, whoever's starting that game, they have an opportunity, because I know that this is a relatively young offensive line. We have entrusted the keys to this very expensive car. We've entrusted it to young players. And with that, there are going to be mistakes that are going to be made. That's normal. That's natural. And we're going to have to give them grace. There is a learning curve for sure for 3/4 of our offensive line. And I do agree with you, Edwin, they will get better over time. But my big concern, and I'll segue here, my big concern with giving them time. We are in the AFC North, where every game matters. And when we look at the record and we are one game off or one game behind, that can totally change the outcome of us going into the postseason. I am of the mindset that I want to stack as many wins as possible, especially early on while we are relatively healthy, because every game matters. Every win matters. And, there's this narrative out there about the Ravens. Oh, they're great in the regular season, but it's just when they get into the postseason, they choke. They're not. I want to dispel that narrative this year. And that's what we're going to do. So that's my only caveat to your point, Edwin. Yes, I do think the Ravens offensive line will develop. But while they are developing, I hope that we are resourceful enough that utilizing Derrick Henry in the backfield, utilizing 2 tight end sets, whatever it is we need to employ, whatever strategies we need to use so that we can come away with the win and obviously stay healthy. That is number 1 on the list. Whatever way we can win, let's do that. Because as I said before, in our division especially, every game matters. We also have with us tonight, good evening, Joey. Thank you. Yes, Ravens all day, and I appreciate your support. Thank you for being here. Big Reg, host of Big Boy Talk, good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Dewan 100, thank you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Leary was a horrible pick. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Yes. Let me know in the chat. I see people who have YouTube channels who've dropped who put in exclamation point house. And I see the Nightbot. Give me a thumbs up, because I can't read through the Nightbot and look at your comments at the same time. If it worked, if it actually worked to your channel, just give me a thumbs up. That way I know that I don't have to make any changes to the Nightbot. So moving forward, I don't have to say during the live streams, hey, I have this person here and this person has a channel. Nightbot can do it for me. So just leave me a thumbs up real quick if the Nightbot did what it was supposed to do. So yeah, Nana says that she would much rather have Tyler Huntley in that scenario. Okay, Joey, he would take Flacco as backup. I can see that. Killer Cam, I can see that too. It's not one of those things where I say it's a large margin between Snoop and, Flacco. No, I think either one of them would be great as backup because, like I said before, the goal for me is to keep my quarterback number one upright and keep him healthy and on the field. That's it. And then beyond that, the times where we want to call on a backup, and that's just strictly because we are blowing the teams way out, that's where we would, utilize our backup. Jeff J said Snoop looked great. Maybe his brief stint away gave him a chance to reflect on some. Yeah, maybe. Sometimes that happens in life, Sometimes just being away, you come back and you're more appreciative. And that's not to say that I hearing or ever heard Snoop was underappreciative or ungrateful. That's not it at all. But sometimes a change of environment, even for a small, like you said, a brief stint, that could do worlds of good. So let's see. I'm hoping that Huntley makes his way back to quarterback number 2. Songstress for Real says, yes, Huntley. Ooh, great point. Let me pin that. Comment there. There we go. Huntley, with our developing O-line, mobility is necessary. Excellent point. Yeah, with a young, developing O-line, mobility is going to be key. So, second thing I wanted to talk about tonight, Lamar Jackson, his influence and his leadership, he's starting to become more vocal. I know we saw it last year. We saw it. But this year, he just seems to be stepping into and embracing wholly the role of, I want to win a Super Bowl, and I want every teammate with me. And if my teammate is not with me in terms of what I see on the field, I have words for them. And I would not have thought Lamar, just being easygoing and, fun and laughing, I didn't think Lamar would come into this type of position or this type of role, but it seems like he is. He is embracing the fact that if you get it right, great. If you don't, come in my office, let's have a talk. And I watched him, I think he joined the lounge a couple of days ago, and one of the things that he mentioned was Ronnie Stanley was like, don't come after him so hard. Like he was, I guess, criticizing the O-line and just kind of, I don't want to say criticizing, maybe that's the wrong word. He was correcting, let's go with that. He was correcting some mistakes, or at least pointing out some mistakes or where he felt the O-line could have done better during practice. And Ronnie Stanley kind of said, hey, and he said, listen, sometimes they need it. And I don't think it came from, or I don't think it comes from a place that's, impure, or a place that's being mean or ugly in any type of way. What I think is Lamar's hyper-focused this year. He was very focused last year. But I think this year, especially with the sting of the AFC Championship, he's going to show us that when he is holding himself to a very high standard, he's also going to give that same standard, that same rubric, that same measure to the players that surround him. So that's really good to see. I appreciate him for that because, these are, especially with the young talent that he has at O-line, he's got to be the voice for them. He has to speak up, let them know what he needs as a quarterback. Hey, I need you to do this. In a situation like this is what I need from you. And I'm glad to see that he's doing that because that's going to help them improve. Yes, it's tough love. Yes, it might not be comfortable, but it's necessary. And our quarterback one is doing just that. So it's good to see. Songstress for Real says, I think there will be times when Lamar will need to use his mobility to avoid sacks in the pocket. Absolutely. He's going to have to. There's no way around that. And Songstress for Real says, Snoop's playing style is more similar to Lamar. It is. Very similar. Not equal, but certainly similar. So as she made the point earlier, Songstress for Real said, yeah, when you look at our young offensive line, escaping the pocket, being a mobile quarterback is going to be essential to our success, especially early on. Edwin, as our offensive line gels, learns, gains the experience as they grow, In the meantime, we are going to have to rely heavily on Lamar's football IQ. Lamar knows how to protect himself. He doesn't take unnecessary big hits. He knows when to run. He knows when not to. And that's something that we're going to have to look to him to do and protect his body and protect himself in the event that pocket collapses. He's going to have to utilize, and we're going to rely on his speed. We're going to rely on his athleticism. We're going to rely on him being able to have that connection with Derrick Henry to eliminate or relieve some of the pressure of this growing offensive line. So that's what I'm expecting to see, at least in the first couple of games. At least, the first 3, 4, I'm looking to see that. And what I'm watching for is to see the development of the offensive line. If you make mistakes in game 1, okay. If you make the same mistake in game 2, if you make the same mistake in game 3, now you see where I'm going? That's going to be a problem. So I'm going to give them the leeway to make those mistakes early on. But as long as they watch film, they study, they see where they need to improve. And especially the one player that kind of had me a little, I'm not going to say worried, but I'll say it, would be Daniel Falele. Not because I don't think that he is going to be a good player. Is he ready to be a day one starter? And for us, day one starter means Chris Jones and company. What that means for us is, even though Chris Jones is getting older, I saw someone mention, oh, well, he's getting older. Well, we have some older guys on our team too. We have Derrick Henry. So just because a person is older, look at Kyle Van Noy. Look at Jadeveon Clowney. They were older, but they led us in sack totals last year. So just because someone is older, I'm not going to diminish what they can do. So going back to my point about Chris Jones, we're taking on Chris Jones in 4 days. We're going to need to focus on what we do well. Roquan Smith, gave a presser earlier today, and he said, I don't remember what the question was, but it kind of was something along the lines of like, what do you need to do to secure a win against the Chiefs? Like, what do you need to do? And I'm paraphrasing. If you want the direct quote, I think it's on the Baltimore Ravens YouTube channel, the interview today. But the answer was simple. He said, we've got to take away the run game, make them one-dimensional. We can't allow the Chiefs to get comfortable. We've got to be able to stop the run. And on defense, that's what they're going to have to do. On offense, for us, we're going to have to be more than one-dimensional, because we know the Chiefs can beat you in multiple ways. So for us, getting in there and making sure that if our O-line struggles early, we have to use what has worked for us, which is the run game. And that's kind of where I see us being successful, especially early on, while our offensive line continues to gel, to take shape. Take a few comments here. Nana says Lamar had control when Monken came aboard. He was being held back. He was absolutely being held back. And I think having Lamar speak up more, and I don't know, so I am not here to represent that I have had a conversation or that this is in any way backed by fact. If Lamar is having conversations with the front office, the GM, about what he needs and is being more vocal about it, hopefully they've listened. And, we're going to see what happens in 4 days. Ian, I see, is with us from the Chiefs Kingdom. Good evening, Ian. Thank you for being here. I want to say, I know you've been in here before. I know you've come by the channel, and I appreciate you coming back. You are certainly welcome. I want to let you know in advance, while I certainly respect your team, this year is going to be different from the Ravens. You can book it. Bookmark it, mark it here. You heard it here first. It's going to be you're going to see a totally different Baltimore Ravens, a more hungry Baltimore Ravens. And I can't wait to beat you all next week on Thursday. And that'll just be the beginning. But no, I'm just teasing. But seriously, I do think that this is going to be a difference for us. We do have, and Ian, as I've been mentioning here tonight, we do have our areas of weakness. I'm not going to say deficiencies. I'm going to say weaknesses. But then again, so does every team. And let me take 2.5 real quick. If you are here and you're enjoying the content, please do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you're enjoying it. If you are watching on replay, thank you so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think is going to happen on Thursday night versus the Chiefs. I'm taking my Ravens, but I'm not going to get into that right now and tonight because come back tomorrow night. I have a very special episode where I'm previewing our game versus the Chiefs. And I'm bringing a special guest. She is a Dolphins fan. Her name is Miss Fins, and she will be previewing. We'll do a collab together, and we'll talk about the Chiefs and Ravens, and we'll also talk about the Dolphins and the Jaguars. It's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow night. So tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, make sure you come right back here because you'll hear all of my thoughts on how I think this matchup between the Ravens and the Ravens and the Chiefs will be. Living Legend says, I agree, Yolanda, the O-line is going to be crucial, like new addition. Oh, yes, I love that. I love that. Yeah. So, okay, Ian says, even a 17-year-old can beat y'all team. Oh, well, you know what, Ian? I thank you so much for that because when us as that, quote, 17-year-old team, when we beat you on Thursday, I hope you come back. See, I hope you're not one of the fans, Ian, that just goes around and is only available for comment and question when your team wins. Because when your team doesn't, I still want you to be I still want you to stick your chest out with it. I still want you to be here and represent, right? So make sure you come back. Rave Kingdom said, them signing Huntley, let me know that they were not happy with Devin Leary and Josh Johnson. But my thing is, why address this situation this late is my issue. Good evening, Rave Kingdom. Thank you for being here. I would say, yes, I agree with you. Why not address this earlier in the offseason? I don't have the answer to that. I don't. But what I can say is I look at the situation and you're right. Would I have liked for them to address this a month, 2, 3 months ago? Absolutely. Sure. But what I am going to take away from this is that maybe, just maybe, I don't have proof of this, but perhaps Lamar Jackson had a conversation and said, listen, the help that I need at backup in the event we need him, we don't have him on our roster. Go get Snoop. Bring him back. Like Nana said, we should have never let him go. We should never have let him go. However, we did. And that's water under the bridge now. The good thing is the Ravens recognized the issue and they took action. That's what matters to me. And so I'm glad they did. Ian, you guys lost a lot of good players. Ravens fans, don't forget that. And let me tell you what. The Ravens also retained a lot of good players, so don't you forget that. But I move on. Let me say one other thing about collabs. I've been doing, I started doing interviews and collabs with other YouTubers, especially those in the Ravens space, but also in other fan bases as well. And Ian, let me know if you would ever like the link so that you can come on my channel and we can talk about why you think the Chiefs are unstoppable, which they're not. You guys lost some players too. L'Jarius Sneed. Oops, let me stop because I said I'm doing a preview tomorrow night. See, you guys get me to go off on tangents and I can't do that. But yes, we lost players, but we also kept a lot of our mainstays. Don't forget that. So moving to the last point. So I started these interviews and it's so good to see other Ravens YouTubers doing interviews and uniting the fan base Because as you can see, we have people like Ian, bless your heart, Ian. We have people like Ian who come by and, they don't mean you no harm, but they certainly don't mean you no good. And we need to stick together as a flock. We need to band together, even if we disagree. That's okay. I'm not here to represent that all of my views are 100% correct. Sometimes I'm going to be right. Sometimes I'm going to be wrong. But I appreciate every person who's taken the time to come on my show and talk with me, share their knowledge. And it's just been fantastic. So it's good to see other YouTubers doing the same things. And Ian, let me tell you this, and I do want to say this will be the last time I entertain anything like this in my channel. We don't have a downfall. And so I would just tell you to please step lively and watch your step. Okay. So make sure that if you come in here, you're going to be respectful. And if you're not going to be respectful, you are not going to be permitted to remain in the chat. That's all I'm going to say about that. And let me see. I'm just scrolling through a couple of the comments, mostly Ian. And it looks like I'm going to have to put Ian on timeout for a little bit. Yeah, we're going to put him on timeout because he doesn't seem to be getting it. So now he'll get it. Living Legend said, thank you. The collabs are dope. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've really had so much fun because the people, the gentlemen who have come on the channel, and even the ladies too, the ones who've come on the channel, everyone has their own expertise, a certain je ne sais quoi that they bring to the table. And it's really good to hear other people's perspectives. And not only that, I ask questions because I want to genuinely learn about some people, learn about them, their backgrounds, how they got into sports, how they got into football, and how they became Ravens fans, just more than just your regular, typical content. Oh, B Squared says, wow, I never got an invite. Okay, B Squared, you know what? I got to invite. I got to bring you on the show. I definitely do, because I want to make sure that you are there, because I want you to come back to YouTube. That's what I want. I'm going to send you an invite. And good. Okay. It looks like my Nightbot is working. I'm going to definitely reach out to you and have you on the channel, because I certainly want you to be a part of the show. But yeah. That's right, Ravekin, respect. I go into everyone's chat. It doesn't matter who your team is, because I love football. So it doesn't matter if it's the Saints. It doesn't matter if it's the Chargers. If there's a football content creator who happens to be producing content that night, I'm there. But I'm going to be respectful. Even if I don't believe your team is going to win, I'm going to be respectful. So Ian just needs to learn a little bit of respect. He'll get some before he comes back in this chat. I promise you that. And if he doesn't have any respect, then he won't be a part of this. But I bet you one thing, Ian is good. There's certain people who are really good on typing because they're behind the camera, and they can hide and you can't see them. You don't know them, but you say, hey, meet me in a dark alley. Right. He's not going to do that. He's one of the kind that's not. And I want to also say, no foul language on the channel. We gotta keep it really, really nice, because I do have children watching the show. But yeah, Jay the Six, Reg need to collaborate. They sure do. They do. They need to collaborate. They need to get back. I hope Big Reg is another one. I hope he gets back to back to YouTube soon. I miss their content. They're really good. Offer very good perspective. Good evening, Jared Green. Glad you're here. He has a YouTube channel of his own. If you will do me a favor, Jared, and type in !house, Nightbot will drop the link to your channel so that everyone can go over and subscribe to your channel. But yeah, see B Squared, J the Six says you definitely need to come back. Absolutely. Well, the last thing I want to discuss, and I want to get your thoughts on this before we go. The Ravens announced their depth chart, a preliminary one, right? And I wanted to get your thoughts on how this depth chart looked. Did you have any questions or any concerns about it? Let's have a look. here we go. So for the depth chart, I was kind of sort of okay with it for the most part. For the most part. And I don't know that, and this was something I saw on Twitter yesterday, but I don't know if Coach Harbaugh and company in the front office are really giving the true indicator on who's going to start at right guard. That was one thing I saw. I said, ooh, because John Harbaugh did mention earlier this week in a presser that there's really not a need for me to disclose that. I don't see an advantage to that. So, but okay, there we go. But the only question, I guess, would be right guard. Why is Daniel Falele starting over Cleveland? I mean, I figured it would be, but who knows? We'll see. And the other one that I had a little concern is the backup quarterback. The reason I had the backup quarterback, and I know this is as it stands right now, Josh Johnson is backup, number 2. Hopefully that will change. And right tackle, Edwin, thank you. Yes, I have that in my notes. Right tackle. So for right tackle, we have Pat McCary over Roger Rosengard. Yep, I had that in my notes too. I skipped over it. So thank you. And Edwin says that for this, right tackle, right guard will be the positions that rotate potentially. Could be. My only thing, and Tanja, I see you in the chat. Good evening. Thank you for being here. And yes, as Nana said, please keep it clean. I think I missed. Yes, please keep your comments clean and respectful. We're having an issue with one person tonight. It seems like Ian might need to be banned permanently from the channel, and I'm going to give him one more chance to see if he can behave himself. If he can't mind his manners, then he just can't come back. But yeah, for McCary starting over Roger Rosengarten, day 1 next week. If the Ravens have seen something out of McCary that I haven't seen, my only goal is to put the best players on the field, talent-wise, to protect Lamar Jackson. And if that is McCary at right tackle, so shall it be. I don't know that it is. I would prefer Roger Rosengarten. But again, this is just the preliminary depth chart. So from here, the only other thing, and I think we're fine. I didn't really take issue with anyone on defense. I thought that this looked good. And again, guys and ladies, this could be just Harbaugh not really wanting to show his hand per se. And we really could see something different come Thursday during the game. So we shall see. But this is the preliminary depth chart: right tackle, right guard, and hopefully backup quarterback. Hopefully those change. That would be good if it does. Well, ladies, gentlemen, that is all I have for you all tonight. Remember, please come by tomorrow at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time. It's not my normal streaming time, but this is where I will give my true, you'll get all of my thoughts on the matchup on Thursday against the Chiefs. Please come by. I'm also doing a collab with Miss Fins, who is a Dolphins fan, and she's going to be on the show joining me, and she's going to preview their matchup for week 1, as well as I will preview our matchup for week 1 as well. I hope to see you all very soon. Thank you again for coming out, hanging out with me. It's been a lot of fun. If I missed your comment, just come back tomorrow and leave me another one, because sometimes I skip over comments, not intentionally, just because you guys are having such great dialogue. But I do go back and read all of the comments because, this is fun for me. I appreciate you all. Let me leave you with this. It's rough out here. You never know what someone is going through. Be kind, because someone might need your kindness. It could make all the difference in their life. And you never know when it might be your day when you need someone to be kind to you. Until next time, you take care, stay safe, and always remember, go Ravens. God bless.